What if the rulebook for wealth you've been handed is a carefully crafted lie? A lie that keeps you working harder, not smarter, chasing a finish line that moves further away with every paycheck you earn. This isn't a conspiracy theory. It's the quiet, devastating truth for millions. You've been told to get a good education, land a secure job, and climb the corporate ladder. You sacrifice your time, your energy, your very life force, believing that obedience to this system will eventually grant you freedom. Yet, for most, that freedom never arrives. Instead, you find yourself trapped on a hamster wheel, running faster only to stay in the same place, burdened by debt, and haunted by the feeling that you were meant for more. The system was never designed for you to win. It was designed for you to participate. But a small group of people figured out how to break the code. They operate on a different frequency, guided by a hidden equation that has nothing to do with your salary or your job title.
This isn't another get-rich-quick fantasy.
This is an extraction of the raw, unfiltered principles used by the self-made elite to build lasting fortunes. Scott Galloway, a man who clawed his way from a middle-class upbringing to a 9-figure net worth, decoded this equation. He calls it the algebra of wealth. It's not about complex financial instruments or insider knowledge. It's a formula built on 4 foundational pillars: focus, the brutal art of elimination; stoicism, the unbreakable discipline of your mind; time, the silent force that multiplies everything; and ownership, the shift from being a pawn to owning the board. This video is your initiation. Over the next few minutes, we will dismantle the lies you've been fed and rebuild your financial reality from the ground up, principle by principle. Forget what you think you know. The real game is about to begin. This is your chance to learn the rules they don't teach you in school. This is where your new story starts. Chapter 2. Focus. In an age of infinite distraction, your attention is the most valuable currency you possess. Every notification, every trending topic, every urgent email is a thief, robbing you of your most critical asset for building wealth: focus. The average person is not poor because they are lazy or unintelligent. They are poor because their energy is scattered, fragmented across 1,000 trivialities, like a floodlight that illuminates nothing with clarity. The wealthy, in stark contrast, operate like a laser, a concentrated beam of energy that can cut through steel. Scott Galloway argues that this single-minded intensity isn't just a helpful trait. It is the prerequisite for extraordinary success. If you cannot master your focus, you have already lost the game. This concept is profoundly countercultural. Modern society celebrates the multitasker, the person juggling 5 projects, a dozen social commitments, and an endless stream of digital noise. We are conditioned to believe that being busy is the same as being productive. It's a catastrophic delusion. True progress doesn't come from doing more things. It comes from doing the right thing, over and over, with relentless obsession. Wealth is the byproduct of deep, world-class expertise in a narrow domain. It's the author who writes every single day, not the one who has 100 book ideas. It's the entrepreneur who dedicates a decade to a single industry, not the one chasing every new trend. Warren Buffett, a master of this principle, codified it in his now legendary 5-25 rule. The strategy is deceptively simple. Write down your top 25 career or life goals. Then, with surgical precision, circle the 5 most important ones. Everything you didn't circle, the other 20 goals, now becomes your avoid at all cost list. These aren't bad ideas. They are the insidious enemies of your greatness. They are the good opportunities that distract you from the truly exceptional ones. The average person tries to chip away at all 25. The focused person dedicates their entire being to the top 5 and ruthlessly ignores the rest. That discipline, that power to say no, is the secret ingredient. Saying no is a muscle. In the beginning, it's weak and uncomfortable. You'll feel the guilt of turning down social invitations, The fear of missing out on a seemingly good project. The pressure from others who don't understand your mission. But every no you utter to the non-essential is a thunderous yes to your ultimate ambition. It's a declaration that your future is more important than someone else's immediate request. The wealthy don't have more time than you do. They just protect their time with a level of ferocity that most people find shocking. Their calendar is not a suggestion. It is a fortress.
How do you begin to build this fortress?
Start with a brutal audit. For 1 week, track your time not in hours, but in 15-minute blocks. Where does it actually go? The results will horrify you. You'll discover hours lost to mindless scrolling, pointless meetings, and low-value conversations. This awareness is the first step. The second is to declare war on distraction. Delete social media apps from your phone. Turn off all non-essential notifications permanently. Schedule deep work blocks into your day and treat them as sacred appointments you cannot break.
But focus extends beyond just your time. It applies to your energy. The people you surround yourself with are either charging your battery or draining it. Galloway insists that your inner circle is a direct predictor of your success. If you are surrounded by complainers, cynics, and unfocused people, their gravity will inevitably pull you down. You must actively curate your environment. Seek out mentors, peers, and partners who are as obsessed with their goals as you are. Their energy, their discipline, their standards will become yours. This path isn't glamorous. The daily grind of focused effort doesn't make for a viral Instagram post. It's quiet, repetitive, and often lonely. It's the programmer coding late into the night, the athlete practicing drills in an empty gym, the investor reading annual reports while others are binge-watching Netflix. But this is the work that compounds. This relentless, unsexy consistency builds a foundation so strong that eventual success looks like it happened overnight. But you will know the truth. It was never about luck. It was about a decision, made every single day, to honor the one thing that mattered most. So, ask yourself, what are your top 5? And more importantly, what are the 20 distractions you will eliminate starting today to achieve them? Your answer will define your future. Chapter 3. Stoicism. If focus is the engine of your wealth-building vehicle, then Stoicism is its indestructible chassis and suspension system. It's the framework that allows you to navigate the violent, unpredictable storms of life without being torn apart. Scott Galloway asserts a brutal truth. The journey to wealth is paved with failure, rejection, and chaos. Markets will crash. Business partners will betray you. Your best-laid plans will crumble. Without profound emotional discipline, you will inevitably panic at the worst possible moment and sabotage your own success. Stoicism is not about suppressing emotion or becoming a cold, unfeeling robot. It is the exact opposite. It is the art of acknowledging your emotions, the fear, the anxiety, the anger, without surrendering your power to them. It is the practice of maintaining an internal state of calm and clarity, even when the external world is burning down around you. The financially fragile are slaves to their emotions. When the stock market plummets, they panic sell at the bottom, locking in their losses. When they face a career setback, they spiral into self-pity and inaction. When they receive criticism, their ego shatters and they retreat into their comfort zone. The wealthy mind, the stoic mind, operates differently. It sees a market crash not as a catastrophe, but as a fire sale, an opportunity to buy valuable assets at a discount. It sees a business failure not as a personal indictment, but as a tuition payment for an invaluable education. It sees criticism not as an attack, but as free consulting. This ability to reframe adversity is the ultimate competitive advantage. Consider Galloway's own crucible. The spectacular collapse of his e-commerce venture, Red Envelope. After raising millions and taking the company public, the dot-com bubble burst, and he was unceremoniously forced out by his own board.
For most, this would be a career-ending humiliation. It would be a story of failure to be buried and forgotten. But Galloway, applying Stoic principles, refused to let the event define him. Instead of spiraling, he analyzed. He journaled obsessively, dissecting every mistake he made in strategy, leadership, and execution. He didn't blame the market or his board. He took radical ownership of the outcome. That brutal self-reflection wasn't a death sentence. It was the blueprint for his next, far more successful venture, L2 Inc., which he later sold for over $130 million. He transformed a public failure into the foundation of a massive fortune. That is applied stoicism. You don't need to be a CEO to practice this. The principles are universal. Start with the practice of negative visualization. Once a week, take 10 minutes to vividly imagine losing the things you cherish: your job, your savings, your reputation. This isn't meant to be morbid. It's a psychological inoculation. By confronting your worst fears in a controlled environment, you strip them of their power. You begin to realize that even in your worst-case scenario, you would likely survive. You would adapt. You would rebuild. This practice cultivates gratitude for what you have and builds a quiet confidence in your ability to endure hardship. The second tool is mastering the dichotomy of control. Epictetus, the ancient Stoic, taught that some things are within our control and some are not. You cannot control the economy, the stock market, or what other people think of you. You can control your response, your effort, and your mindset. The majority of human anxiety stems from trying to control the uncontrollable. By consciously focusing your energy only on what you can influence, you liberate yourself from a massive burden of stress and wasted effort. When you face a setback, ask yourself a simple question: what part of this is in my control? Then, pour every ounce of your energy into that, and let the rest go. Finally, embrace the mindset of amor fati, a love of fate. This is the practice of not just accepting what happens, but loving it, because it is part of your journey. It is the belief that every obstacle, every failure, every painful moment is a necessary part of your growth. It's not about being passive. It's about finding the opportunity within the obstacle. The job you lost? It's the catalyst to start the business you always dreamed of. The investment that went to zero? It's the lesson that taught you the importance of due diligence. When you adopt this mindset, nothing can truly break you. Every event, good or bad, serves your ultimate purpose. Emotional mastery is the rarest skill in the world of finance and business. While others are making reactive, fear-based decisions, you will be operating from a place of calm, strategic clarity. You will become the stable force in a world of chaos. This doesn't just make you wealthier, it makes you powerful. So, take a moment. What is your biggest fear right now? What is the setback that is currently consuming your energy? Look at it through a Stoic lens. What can you control? What is it trying to teach you? How can you use it as fuel? This is your training ground. The storms are coming. The Stoic mind doesn't pray for calm seas. It learns to sail through the tempest. Chapter 4. Time. If there is one variable in the algebra of wealth that borders on actual magic, it is time. Time is the silent, invisible partner that will do more of the heavy lifting in building your fortune than your salary, your hustle, or your genius ever will. Yet, it is the asset that the young waste most thoughtlessly and the old crave most desperately. Scott Galloway is emphatic on this point. Understanding and leveraging the exponential power of time is not just a financial strategy, it is the entire game. Failing to grasp this is like trying to fill a bucket with a hole in the bottom. Your efforts will be endless, and your results will be heartbreakingly meager. The core engine of time is the force of compound interest, a phenomenon Albert Einstein allegedly called the eighth wonder of the world. The concept is simple. Your money earns interest, and then your interest starts earning its own interest. Initially, the effects are almost imperceptible. A small snowball at the top of a very long hill. But as it rolls, it picks up more snow, growing larger and moving faster, until it becomes an unstoppable avalanche of wealth. The key ingredients are not a large initial sum, but a long runway and consistency. Time is the length of that runway. Let's shatter this concept into reality with a stark example. Meet two friends, Maya and Liam. Maya starts investing at age 22. She invests $400 a month into a simple index fund. She does this for only 10 years, and then, at age 32, she stops investing completely, never adding another penny. Liam, on the other hand, procrastinates. He starts at age 32 and diligently invests the same $400 a month. But to make up for lost time, he continues investing every single month until he retires at age 62. A full 30 years of consistent investment. Maya invested a total of $48,000, $400 times 12 months times 10 years. Liam invested a total of $144,000, $400 times 12 months times 30 years, 3 times more than Maya. Who has more money at retirement? It's not even close. Maya, who let her money cook for an extra 10 years, ends up with a significantly larger fortune. Why? Because her initial investments had 4 decades to compound. The earnings on her earnings had earnings. Liam's money, despite his greater contribution, simply had less time to perform its magic. He could never catch up to the head start that time gave Maya. This is the brutal math that should terrify every procrastinator. Every single day you wait to invest is a day you are stealing from your future self. You are robbing them of the exponential growth that can only be unlocked by time. The excuse, "I'll start when I make more money," is a financial suicide pact. The amount you start with is far less important than when you start. A small, consistent investment made in your 20s is infinitely more powerful than a large investment made in your 40s. The practical application is simple and non-negotiable. Start now. Not next week, not after you get a raise, today. Open a tax-advantaged retirement account like a Roth IRA. Set up an automatic transfer from your checking account for every payday, even if it's only $50. Automate the process so that it requires no willpower. Invest that money into a low-cost, broad market index fund, like one that tracks the S&P 500, and then forget about it. Your job is not to outsmart the market, time the dips, or pick the next hot stock. Your job is to be consistent and let time do its work. This requires a radical shift in your temporal perspective. Our culture is addicted to instant gratification. We want 6-pack abs in 6 weeks and a 6-figure income in 6 months. But real wealth is an agricultural process, not a manufacturing one. It's about planting seeds today that you will not harvest for decades. You must learn to find satisfaction in the process, not the immediate result. You have to be willing to play the long game in a world that is obsessed with short-term scores. Furthermore, this principle transcends money. Time compounds everything. It compounds your knowledge through consistent learning. It compounds your health through consistent exercise. It compounds your relationships through consistent investment of care and attention. When you begin to see time as your most precious, non-renewable resource, your entire decision-making process changes. You stop trading hours for dollars and start thinking about how to build systems that work for you. You stop wasting evenings on mindless consumption and start investing them in skills that will pay you back for a lifetime. Wealth isn't just about having money. It's about owning your time. The ultimate goal of investing is to reach a point where your assets generate enough passive income to cover your living expenses. This is the point of financial independence, the moment you are no longer forced to trade your time for survival. Every dollar you invest today is a down payment on a future day, hour, or minute that you will own outright. So the question is not if you can afford to start investing. The question is, how much longer can you afford not to? The clock is ticking. The avalanche is waiting. The most powerful force in the universe is on your side, but only if you choose to begin.
Chapter 6. Education. In the equation of wealth, there is one investment that is immune to market crashes, inflation, and geopolitical risk: the investment in yourself. Scott Galloway makes a powerful, uncompromising claim. Your formal education is merely the ticket to the game. Your continuous, lifelong self-education is what determines if you win. Pouring money into stocks or real estate while neglecting the asset between your ears is like building a skyscraper on a foundation of sand. The entire structure is destined to collapse. The single greatest asset you will ever have is your own mind, and the returns generated from sharpening it are infinite.
Think about it in pure economic terms. An investment in the S&P 500 might, on average, return 10% per year. That's considered a fantastic outcome. But what is the return on learning a high-value skill? If you learn how to sell effectively, you could double your income in a single year. If you learn how to code, you could pivot into a career that pays 3 times your current salary. If you master the art of storytelling and public speaking, you could become so influential that opportunities seek you out. The return on these skills isn't 10%. It's 100%, 500%, or even 1,000%. No financial instrument on earth can compete with that. The knowledge and skills you acquire become a permanent part of you. They can never be taken away. They are portable, adaptable, and they compound with every new thing you learn. Scott Galloway is the living embodiment of this principle. He didn't have one career, he has had half a dozen. He has continuously reinvented himself. From a postgrad with a modest academic record, to an investment banker, a brand strategist, a serial entrepreneur, an NYU professor, a best-selling author, and a global media personality. How did he make these leaps? He was never the smartest person in the room from a pure IQ standpoint. His superpower was an insatiable, relentless curiosity. He outlearned his competition. He read voraciously. He deconstructed industries. He invested his time and money into acquiring knowledge that made him more valuable, long before that value was reflected in his bank account.
So, where should you focus your learning? Galloway advocates for a portfolio of high ROI skills, competencies that have a disproportionate impact on your value in the marketplace. Here are the non-negotiables: sales and persuasion. Every significant moment in your life is a sale. You are selling yourself in a job interview, selling your vision to a team, selling your idea to an investor, and selling your value in a salary negotiation. Your ability to communicate an idea clearly, build rapport, and persuade others to act is the bedrock of economic success. If you can't sell, you will always be working for someone who can. Storytelling. Facts and data inform, but stories move people to action. In a world saturated with information, the ability to weave a compelling narrative around a product, a brand, or a personal mission is a superpower. A great storyteller can make the complex simple, the boring fascinating, and the abstract emotional. Learn to structure a narrative, captivate an audience, and you will command attention and influence wherever you go. Financial literacy. You don't need to be a Wall Street analyst, but you must understand the language of money. Learn the fundamentals of budgeting, investing, debt, and equity. If you don't understand how money works, you are destined to be a victim of those who do. You will fall for predatory loans, miss out on the power of compounding, and make emotional decisions that sabotage your future. Digital fluency. In the 21st century, technology is not an industry. It is the fabric of reality. Understanding the basics of how the internet works, the fundamentals of coding, the implications of AI, and the mechanics of digital marketing
gives you leverage in almost any field. This isn't about becoming a developer. It's about being literate in the language of the modern economy.
The acquisition of these skills is more accessible now than at any point in human history. You have the entirety of human knowledge in your pocket. You can learn from Nobel laureates on YouTube, take courses from Ivy League professors on Coursera, and read books from the greatest minds on earth for the price of a coffee. The excuses have evaporated. The only barrier is your own discipline and desire. The process is simple. Read, apply, teach. First, read widely and voraciously. Dedicate at least 1 hour a day to learning. Read books that challenge your assumptions. Listen to podcasts during your commute. Consume information not for entertainment, but for application. Second, apply what you learn immediately. Knowledge without action is useless trivia. If you read a book on negotiation, go negotiate your cable bill. If you take a course on coding, build a simple website. Action solidifies learning and turns theory into skill. Third, teach what you have learned to someone else. The ultimate test of your understanding is your ability to explain it simply. Start a blog, create a YouTube video, or explain the concept to a friend. This process forces you to clarify your thinking and deepens your own mastery. Investing in yourself does more than just increase your income. It builds an unshakable confidence. When you know you have a valuable, adaptable skill set, you stop living in fear. You are no longer terrified of losing your job because you know you can create value anywhere. You start taking calculated risks. You ask for the raise. You start the business. This internal transformation from fear to confidence is the true, immeasurable return on your educational investment. So, what skill will you begin to master this month? Choose one. Go deep. Become obsessed. It will be the single most profitable investment you ever make. Chapter 7. Diversification. The ancient wisdom, "Don't put all your eggs in one basket," is so frequently repeated that it has become a cliché, easily dismissed. But within that simple phrase lies one of the most powerful principles for survival and wealth preservation in a world defined by uncertainty. Scott Galloway argues that while concentrated bets can make you rich, it is diversification that ensures you stay rich. It is the defensive strategy that protects you from the brutal, unpredictable nature of life and markets. Neglecting it is not just risky, it is an act of financial arrogance that will, sooner or later, lead to ruin. At its core, diversification is the practice of spreading your resources, your capital, your income streams, your skills, across a variety of uncorrelated assets. The goal is to ensure that no single negative event can deliver a knockout blow to your entire financial life. It is the shock absorber that smooths out the violent bumps on the road to wealth. Think of it like building a mighty ship. You don't build it with a single massive hull. You build it with multiple watertight compartments. If one compartment is breached, the others remain sealed, and the ship stays afloat. An undiversified portfolio is a ship with no compartments. One hole and the entire vessel sinks to the bottom of the ocean. The most obvious application is in investing. The amateur investor, seduced by stories of overnight crypto millionaires or tech stock windfalls, often makes massive, concentrated bets on individual assets. This is not investing, it is gambling. For every story of a 100 times return, there are 10,000 stories of life savings wiped out. The professional understands that they cannot predict the future. Instead of trying to find the one winning needle in the haystack, they buy the entire haystack. This is the principle behind low-cost index funds. By investing in a fund that tracks a broad market like the S&P 500, you are instantly diversified across 500 of the world's leading companies, spanning dozens of industries. You are protected from the collapse of any single company. You are betting on the long-term growth of the economy as a whole, which has historically been the most reliable bet you can make. But Galloway pushes the concept of diversification far beyond your stock portfolio. He insists you must also diversify your income streams. For the vast majority of people,
Their single greatest point of failure is their reliance on one paycheck from one employer. If that job disappears due to a layoff, an industry disruption, or a health crisis, their income instantly drops to zero. This is an incredibly fragile position to be in. Building resilience means creating multiple, independent flows of income.
This doesn't mean you need to quit your job and launch 3 startups. It starts small. It could be a rental property that provides a steady stream of cash flow. It could be freelancing your skills on the side. It could be building a content platform, a YouTube channel, a newsletter, a podcast that generates ad revenue or affiliate income. It could be creating a digital product like an ebook or an online course that sells while you sleep. The goal is to build a personal financial ecosystem where the failure of one component doesn't trigger a total system collapse. Scott Galloway himself is a master of this. He has income from his professorship at NYU, his best-selling books, his popular podcasts, his public speaking engagements, his corporate board seats, and his own investment funds. He is not reliant on any single source. He is financially anti-fragile. Finally, you must diversify your skills and your identity. In an era of rapid technological change, your job title is a temporary label, not a lifelong identity. The skills that are valuable today may be obsolete tomorrow. If your entire sense of self and your entire skill set are tied to one specific role in one specific industry, you are incredibly vulnerable. You must become a polymath, a lifelong learner who cultivates a T-shaped skill set. Deep expertise in one core area, the vertical bar of the T, and broad knowledge across many different domains, the horizontal bar. This allows you to adapt, pivot, and see opportunities that specialists miss. When AI automates your core function, you can lean on your other skills to reinvent your career. Your identity should be a problem solver who creates value, not an accountant at company X. So, conduct a risk audit of your own life. If your primary employer went out of business tomorrow, how long could you survive? If the stock market crashed 50%, would you be financially wiped out? If your main client fired you, would your business collapse? If the answer to any of these questions makes you uncomfortable, that is a signal that you are overexposed. The path to diversification is a gradual one. You don't build it overnight. You start by directing a portion of your savings into a different asset class. You dedicate 5 hours a week to building a small side hustle. You spend 30 minutes a day learning a skill outside of your core profession. Each action is a brick in your financial fortress. It's not the most exciting part of building wealth. It's the slow, steady, defensive work. But it is this work that allows you to sleep at night. It's what gives you the peace of mind to take bigger, calculated risks elsewhere, knowing that your foundation is secure. Don't wait for a crisis to teach you the value of diversification. Build your watertight compartments now, before the storm arrives. Chapter 8. The Math of Money. Beneath all the noise, the guru promises, and the complex financial jargon, wealth creation is not a mystical art. It is a science, governed by cold, hard, and beautifully simple mathematics. The problem is, most people are trying to pass the final exam without ever learning the basic arithmetic. They are operating in a state of financial illiteracy, making emotional decisions in a game that is won by logic. In The Algebra of Wealth, Scott Galloway insists that you must become the chief financial officer of your own life. You must know your numbers, intimately, obsessively, and without delusion. Because if you don't understand the math, you are merely a pawn on a chessboard where everyone else knows the rules. The entire game can be distilled into one foundational equation. Income minus spending times compounding equals wealth. That's it. Every strategy, every tactic, every financial product is simply a way to manipulate one of these 3 variables. To win, you must attack all 3 fronts simultaneously and relentlessly. Let's start with income. This is your financial engine. While frugal living is important, Galloway argues that you cannot scrimp your way to a 9-figure fortune. There is a limit to how much you can cut your expenses,
but there is no theoretical limit to how much you can earn. Therefore, a significant portion of your energy, especially in your early career, should be dedicated to dramatically increasing your earning potential. This means mastering high-value skills, aggressively negotiating your salary at every opportunity, pursuing promotions, and building side hustles that can scale. Stop obsessing over the price of a latte and start obsessing over how you can add so much value to the marketplace that your income is forced to rise. Your goal is to make your income shovel so large that it can dump massive amounts of capital into your investment engine.
Next, you must master spending. This is not about deprivation, it is about intentionality. The moment most people get a raise, they fall victim to lifestyle inflation. The bigger paycheck is immediately consumed by a more expensive car, a larger apartment, and fancier dinners. They upgrade their lifestyle in lockstep with their income, ensuring they remain on the hamster wheel, just in a slightly more gilded cage. This is the great trap. The wealthy understand that the most important dollar you make is the one you don't spend. Every dollar you avoid spending on a depreciating asset, like a luxury car, is a dollar that can be deployed into an appreciating asset, like an index fund. You must create a gap, a delta, between what you earn and what you spend. The wider that gap, the faster you will build wealth. This requires a budget, not as a restrictive prison, but as a conscious spending plan. You must track every dollar, not to judge yourself, but to understand your own behavior and align your spending with your values and goals. The final and most magical variable is compounding. The money you save in the gap between your income and spending is your army of soldiers. Your job is to send them out to battle for you in the form of investments. As we've discussed, this army grows exponentially over time. But to truly grasp its power, you must understand the concept of opportunity cost. Every dollar you spend today has a future value. That $5 latte is not a $5 decision. If you had invested that $5 over 40 years at a 10% return, it could have grown to over $226. That $1,000 designer handbag is not a $1,000 decision. It is a $45,000 decision in terms of its future self-cost. Once you begin to see the world through the lens of opportunity cost, your relationship with money is forever changed. You stop seeing spending as a source of pleasure and start seeing it as a theft from your future freedom. To be a great CFO, you need a dashboard. Your primary metric is net worth. This is the single most important number in your financial life. It is the total value of your assets, cash, investments, real estate, minus the total value of your liabilities, credit card debt, student loans, mortgage. Your salary is irrelevant if your net worth is not increasing. You must calculate and track your net worth every single month. This is your scorecard. Is it going up or down? Why? This simple act forces you to confront the reality of your financial situation and makes the game tangible. Let's put this into practice. Your challenge is to spend 1 hour this weekend becoming the CFO of your life. Open a spreadsheet. In the first column, list all your sources of income. In the second, track all of your expenses from the last month. In the third, list all your assets. In the fourth, list all your liabilities. Calculate your monthly savings rate, the gap, and your current net worth. This clarity is the starting point for everything. You can't get to where you want to go if you don't know where you are. The math of money is not complicated, but it is unforgiving. It doesn't care about your feelings, your excuses, or your intentions. It only responds to your actions. Know your numbers. Widen the gap. Invest the difference consistently. That is the simple, unsexy, and brutally effective formula for building a life of financial sovereignty. Chapter 9. Resilience. In the pursuit of wealth, we are often seduced by the offense. The glamour of high returns, explosive growth, and building a massive fortune. But the greatest fortunes are not just built, they are preserved. Scott Galloway delivers a sobering message that is often ignored by the ambitious.
Life is not a smooth upward trajectory. It is a series of unpredictable storms. Economic recessions, pandemics, job losses, health crises, and market crashes are not black swan events. They are inevitable features of the landscape. Your financial brilliance is utterly worthless if your entire system shatters at the first sign of trouble. Resilience, your ability to absorb shocks and withstand hardship, is the unsung hero of lasting wealth. It is the strong foundation that allows you to play the long game.
The first and most critical pillar of resilience is the emergency fund. This is the most boring, unsexy, and absolutely non-negotiable component of your financial plan. Before you invest a single dollar into the stock market, you must build a moat of cash that protects you from the crocodiles of life. This fund should contain a minimum of 6 to 12 months' worth of your essential living expenses. This money is not an investment, it is insurance. It should be kept in a liquid, high-yield savings account easily accessible at a moment's notice.
Why is this so critical?
Without an emergency fund, you are forced to make desperate decisions from a position of weakness.
When your car breaks down, you put the repair on a high-interest credit card, digging yourself deeper into debt. When you lose your job, you are forced to sell your investments at the worst possible time, during a market downturn, locking in your losses. Or worse, you are forced to take the first, soul-crushing job offer you receive just to pay the bills. An emergency fund buys you options. It buys you time to think. It buys you the power to say no to a bad situation. It is your sleep well at night money, the buffer that transforms a potential catastrophe into a mere inconvenience. If your income stopped tomorrow, how many months could you survive? If the answer is less than 6, building this fund should become your single-minded obsession.
The second pillar is insurance. This is the art of transferring catastrophic risk. You cannot afford to self-insure against the major financial disasters of life. One serious medical event in a country like the United States can bankrupt a family for generations. A sudden disability can eliminate your ability to earn an income. Your premature death could leave your dependents in a devastating financial situation. Buying health, disability, and term life insurance, if you have dependents, is not a cost. It is an investment in protecting everything you are working so hard to build. You don't buy it because you think something bad will happen. You buy it so that your family's future is secure even if the unthinkable does happen. The third pillar of resilience is the aggressive elimination of toxic debt. High-interest consumer debt, particularly credit card debt, is a cancer on your financial health. It is the opposite of compounding. It is wealth destruction on autopilot. Carrying a balance at a 20% APR means you are fighting a battle with one hand tied behind your back. Every dollar you earn is being eaten away by interest payments before you even have a chance to invest it. A resilient financial life is a lean one. It means keeping your fixed monthly obligations as low as possible. By paying off your high-interest debt, you lower your monthly nut, which increases your flexibility and reduces your stress. It also automatically increases the size of your emergency funds coverage, as your monthly expenses are now lower. The 2008 financial crisis provides a brutal case study in resilience. The people who were destroyed were those living with no buffer. They were over-leveraged, with massive mortgages on homes they couldn't afford, living paycheck to paycheck with no cash reserves. When the layoffs began, their entire house of cards collapsed. In contrast, the people who not only survived but thrived were those who had built resilience for years. They had large cash reserves, which allowed them to weather the job loss and even buy assets like real estate and stocks at generational lows. They had low debt, so their monthly expenses were manageable, even on a reduced income. They had built a financial ark before the rain began to fall. Building resilience is also a psychological act. It's about cultivating a mindset of preparedness. It's about knowing that you have built a system that can bend without breaking. This quiet confidence is what allows you to remain calm and rational when everyone else is panicking. It enables you to see opportunity in the midst of chaos. Ironically, by preparing for the worst, you position yourself to achieve the best. Your challenge is to stress test your own life. Run a fire drill. If your primary income source vanished today, what would happen?
What are your points of failure? Be brutally honest with yourself. Then, start building your defenses, one brick at a time. Automate a transfer to your emergency fund. Get a quote for term life insurance. Create a plan to aggressively pay down your highest interest debt. This work isn't exciting. It won't make you rich overnight, but it will ensure that the wealth you do build is yours to keep, no matter what storms may come.
Chapter 10. Hustle. In a culture that romanticizes passive income, 4-hour work weeks, and the dream of making money while you sleep, Scott Galloway delivers a brutal, refreshing dose of reality. There is no passive path to wealth that is not first paved with years of active, relentless, all-consuming effort. The idea that you can bypass the grind is a fantasy sold by gurus to the lazy. Talent is a starting point. Luck is a fickle visitor. But hustle, the sheer, gritty, unwavering commitment to outwork your competition, remains the great equalizer and the foundational engine of all self-made fortunes. If you are not willing to embrace the suck, to do the hard, unglamorous work that others make excuses to avoid, you simply do not want it badly enough. Hustle is not about being busy for the sake of being busy. It's not about mindlessly clocking 80-hour weeks on low-value tasks. It is strategic, purposeful, and intense effort directed at the activities that have the highest leverage for your long-term goals. It is a phase, particularly in your 20s and 30s, when you have the most valuable combination of assets: high energy, minimal dependence, and a long time horizon. This is the decade where you must trade your time and comfort for skills, equity, and reputation. You are not just working for a paycheck, you are building the foundation for the rest of your life. The sacrifices you make in this period will pay dividends for decades to come.
Galloway's own story is a testament to this principle. While building his first companies, he was also teaching classes at NYU. This wasn't a choice, it was a necessity. He worked nights, weekends, and holidays. He flew across the country for a single meeting. He endured rejections, failures, and moments of profound doubt. His eventual 9-figure exits were not the result of a single brilliant idea. They were the culmination of 2 decades of relentless grinding, of showing up on the days he felt exhausted, of pushing through the boredom of the mundane tasks, and of maintaining an unwavering belief in his own agency. He understood that the world does not give you what you want. It gives you what you earn.
The mathematics of hustle are compelling. Imagine 2 people with equal talent. Person A works a standard 40-hour week. Person B works a 60-hour week. Over the course of a year, Person B will have worked 1,040 more hours than Person A. That is the equivalent of an extra 6 months of work experience, every single year. After 5 years, Person B has effectively accumulated 7.5 years of experience, to Person A's 5. Who do you think will have the better skills, the stronger network, the deeper industry knowledge, and the higher income? It's not even a fair fight. The gap becomes an insurmountable chasm. Hustle creates a compounding effect on your career trajectory. So, how do you apply this in a smart, sustainable way? First, go all in on your primary vehicle. Whether it's your 9-to-5 job or your own business, for a period of time, it must become your obsession. Show up early. Stay late. Ask for the hardest projects. Volunteer for tasks that nobody else wants. Become so undeniably good at what you do that you become indispensable. Your goal is to learn everything you can as fast as you can and build a reputation for excellence and reliability. This is how you earn promotions, raises, and the trust of influential people. Second, build on the side. Your evenings and weekends are not for consumption, they are for creation. Use this time to build a complementary skill set or a secondary income stream. Learn to code, start a freelance business, build a content platform. This side hustle does 2 things. It diversifies your income and skills, resilience, and it forces you to learn about marketing, sales, and operations in a low-risk environment. It is your real-world MBA. Third, reinvest in your energy. A relentless hustle is not sustainable without a focus on your physical and mental health. This is not a contradiction. It is a necessity. The most effective hustlers are not the ones who burn out in a blaze of glory. They are the ones who treat their body and mind like an elite athlete. They prioritize sleep, nutrition, and exercise. They understand that their energy is their most valuable resource and they guard it fiercely. They work in focused sprints, followed by periods of deliberate recovery. Let's be clear. This phase is not forever. The goal of the intense hustle in your early years is to build enough capital, skills, and assets so that you can have more choice and freedom later in life. You are front-loading the work. You are making a conscious trade-off of comfort today for sovereignty tomorrow. It is about working harder and smarter now, so you have the option to work less, or simply work on what you love later.
The world is full of talented people who are sitting on the sidelines, waiting for the perfect opportunity, waiting for someone to discover them. The hustler doesn't wait. The hustler gets in the arena. They are willing to fail, to be embarrassed, to be misunderstood. They understand that momentum is created by action, not by contemplation. So ask yourself, does your current work ethic reflect the size of your ambition? Are you putting in the reps? Are you doing the things today that your future self will thank you for? In the algebra of wealth, hustle is the variable that multiplies all the others. Without it, the equation equals 0.
Chapter 11. Love and Purpose. Imagine you reach the end of the game. You have won. Your net worth is a staggering number. Your portfolio is perfectly diversified, and you have achieved complete financial sovereignty. You have the freedom to do anything you want, go anywhere you want, buy anything you want. And yet you wake up in your sprawling, empty mansion with a profound, aching hollowness in your chest. You are surrounded by success, but devoid of connection. You have mastered the math of money, but have failed the calculus of the human heart. This, Scott Galloway warns, is the ultimate tragic failure. Wealth without meaning is the most pathetic form of poverty. The final and most important variables in the algebra of wealth are love and purpose. Without them, the entire equation is worthless. Our society relentlessly pushes a narrative of individual achievement. We celebrate the self-made billionaire, the lone wolf entrepreneur, the person who sacrifices everything to get to the top. But this is a deeply flawed and dangerous mythology. Humans are not built for isolation. We are wired for connection. The deepest, most enduring source of happiness does not come from the numbers in your bank account, but from the quality of your relationships. The love you share with a partner, the bond with your children, the camaraderie with your friends, the respect of your community. These are the true assets that make a life rich. Galloway speaks from a place of painful, personal experience. He admits that in the peak of his hustle years, he was an asshole. He was consumed by his ambition, chasing deals, and building companies. He would miss family dinners, show up late to school events, and be physically present, but mentally absent. He believed he was doing it for his family, sacrificing his time to build a better future for them. But he came to the devastating realization that what his children wanted was not another zero in his bank account. They wanted him. They wanted his time, his attention, his presence. No amount of money could ever buy back those lost moments. This epiphany forced him to completely re-engineer his life. He now treats time with his family with the same ruthless prioritization as a board meeting. It is scheduled, sacred, and non-negotiable. This leads to a critical reevaluation of wealth's true function. Money's greatest power is not its ability to buy luxury goods. It is its ability to facilitate and protect the things that actually matter. Money can buy you the time to be with a sick parent. It can create shared experiences and memories with your children. It can reduce the stress and friction in your relationship so you can focus on each other. Money is a tool to serve your life and your relationships, not the other way around. If the pursuit of money is destroying the very things it is meant to support, you have fundamentally misunderstood the assignment. Alongside love is the critical need for purpose. Purpose is the answer to the question, why? Why are you enduring the struggle, the sacrifice, the hustle? If the only answer is to get rich, your motivation will eventually crumble. Purpose is the feeling that you are part of something larger than yourself. It is the belief that your work contributes value to the world, that you are solving a meaningful problem, or that you are using your talents to serve others. When your work is infused with purpose, it ceases to be a grind and becomes a calling. It provides an intrinsic motivation that is far more powerful and sustainable than any external reward. This doesn't mean you have to quit your job to save the rainforest. Purpose can be found everywhere. It can be found in being the most reliable and ethical leader your team has ever had. It can be found in creating a product that genuinely makes people's lives a little bit better. It can be found in mentoring a younger colleague. It's about aligning your daily actions with your core values so that you can look yourself in the mirror at the end of the day and feel a sense of integrity and pride in what you have built. The challenge, then, is to define what a rich life truly means to you, beyond a dollar amount. Get out a piece of paper and write your own definition. Does it include deep, loving relationships? Does it include work that excites and energizes you? Does it include time for creativity, learning, and health? Once you have this clarity, you can begin to design your financial goals to serve this holistic vision of success, rather than letting your financial goals dictate your life. At the end of your days, no one will gather to celebrate the size of your stock portfolio. They will not tell stories about the long hours you worked or the deals you closed. They will tell stories about who you were, as a partner, a parent, a friend, a mentor. They will talk about the lives you touched, the love you gave, and the legacy you left behind. The true measure of your wealth will be the richness of those stories. Don't spend your entire life climbing the ladder of success, only to realize it was leaning against the wrong wall. Chapter 12. Conclusion. We have reached the end of our journey, but for you, this is the beginning. We have systematically deconstructed the algebra of wealth, not as a collection of tips and tricks, but as a holistic operating system for designing a life of sovereignty, meaning, and freedom. The principles are no longer a secret. The roadmap is in your hands. But knowledge without action is merely intellectual entertainment. The gap between where you are and where you want to be will be closed only by your decision to begin. Let us forge these principles into your memory one last time, as the cornerstones of the new reality you are about to build. Focus. You will become a laser. You will ruthlessly eliminate the trivial and dedicate your life force to the vital few. Your power to say no will become your greatest asset, creating the space for your genius to flourish. Stoicism. You will become the unshakable rock in the midst of the storm. You will master your emotions, transforming every obstacle into an opportunity, every failure into a lesson, and every setback into a setup for a greater comeback. Time. You will respect time as your most sacred, non-renewable asset. You will harness the magical force of compounding by starting now, staying consistent, and playing the long game, allowing an avalanche of wealth to build while you sleep. Ownership. You will transcend the trap of trading time for money. You will become a builder of assets, equity, businesses, intellectual property that work for you, creating a scalable engine for freedom that is not dependent on your daily labor. Education. You will commit to being a relentless learning machine. Investing in your skills and knowledge will be your highest priority allocation of capital, yielding returns no market can match and making you anti-fragile in a world of constant change. Diversification. You will build a financial fortress with multiple layers of defense. You will spread your risks across assets, income streams, and skills, ensuring that no single blow can ever knock you out of the game. The math of money. You will become the CFO of your own life. You will know your numbers, widen the gap between earning and spending, and treat every dollar as a soldier to be deployed in the service of your future self. Resilience.
You will prepare for winter in the summer. You will build your financial arc, your emergency fund, your insurance, your debt-free balance sheet before the rains come, giving you peace of mind and the power to act from a position of strength. Hustle. You will embrace the grind. You will understand that greatness is not given, but earned through a period of intense, purposeful effort. You will front-load the work, paying your dues today for a lifetime of freedom tomorrow. And finally, love and purpose. You will remember your why. You will anchor your ambition in deep, meaningful relationships and a sense of purpose that transcends money. For this is the fuel that will sustain you, and the ultimate treasure that your wealth is designed to protect.
The most powerful truth is this: your past does not have to be your future. It doesn't matter where you are starting from. It doesn't matter how many mistakes you've made. At this very moment, you have the power to make a new choice. You can choose to remain a passive participant in a system designed for your mediocrity, or you can choose to become an active architect of your own destiny. This is your equation. It is waiting for you to solve it. The variables are clear. The only unknown is your willingness to act. If this message has ignited something within you, do not let that fire die. Feed it. Take one small, concrete action right now. Open that savings account. Write down your top 5 goals. Delete one distracting app from your phone. Make one decision that proves to your future self that this time it's different. Your journey to wealth in all its forms begins with that single step. The future you dream of is not found, it is built. Let's go build it.